Bangkok was everything I had imagined: vibrant, chaotic, and filled with life. The bustling streets, the food vendors on every corner, and the neon lights reflecting off the river, it felt like the perfect escape. After months of working non-stop, I finally decided to take a solo vacation, and Bangkok seemed like the perfect destination to unwind. I checked into a hotel that sat on the outskirts of the city, a little quieter than the main tourist spots. It wasn't a five-star place, but it had charm, an old building with ornate wooden carvings and a classic feel to it. The lobby was small, and the staff seemed friendly enough, though I noticed one of the receptionists gave me a strange look when I mentioned my room number, 404. It wasn't until later that I realized why. The first couple of days were great. I spent my time exploring temples, visiting night markets, and eating street food until I couldn't move. But every night, when I returned to the hotel, there was something off. It wasn't the room itself. Room 404 looked normal, with its standard hotel furniture, a single window overlooking the street below, and a neatly made bed. But I couldn't shake the feeling that I wasn't alone in the room. The first night, I woke up around 2 a.m. to the sound of soft knocking. I thought it was coming from the hallway at first, but when I listened more closely, I realized it was coming from inside the room. I sat up in bed, my heart racing. The knocking continued, 3 slow, deliberate taps, coming from the closet door on the far side of the room. I stared at the door, half expecting it to swing open, but it didn't. The room was cold, unnaturally so, despite the Bangkok heat outside. I grabbed my phone and checked the time again, 2:03 a.m. The knocking stopped as suddenly as it had started, and I lay awake for the rest of the night, unable to sleep. The next morning, I brushed it off as jet lag. I told myself I was just tired and maybe hearing things. But the strange occurrences didn't stop. Every night around the same time, I'd wake up, 2 a.m., almost on the, and something would feel wrong. One night it was the knocking again, soft but persistent. Another night, I heard faint whispers, like someone was speaking just out of earshot. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't make out the words. I told the receptionist about it when I checked out for the day. She looked uncomfortable, glancing nervously at her coworker before telling me she'd send someone to check the room. Her reaction made me uneasy, but I tried to brush it off and enjoy the rest of my day. But then came the 4th night. I returned to the hotel late, exhausted from a long day of sightseeing. After a shower, I collapsed into bed, hoping for a decent night's sleep. But once again, at exactly 2 a.m., I woke up, my heart pounding in my chest. This time, it wasn't knocking. It was the sound of footsteps, soft, deliberate, like someone walking barefoot across the floor. My eyes snapped open, and in the dim glow of the streetlights filtering through the curtains, I saw her. A woman. She was standing at the foot of my bed, her long black hair hanging limply over her face, her skin pale, almost translucent. She was dressed in a white gown, tattered and stained with something dark. She didn't move, didn't make a sound, just stood there, her head slightly bowed, as if she was waiting for something. I couldn't move. My body was frozen with fear, my mind racing. Who was she? How had she gotten into my room? I wanted to scream, to run, but I couldn't. The air felt heavy, like it was pressing down on me, making it hard to breathe. Then, slowly, she raised her head. Her eyes, dark, hollow, filled with sadness, locked onto mine. And in that moment, I knew. She wasn't alive. The temperature in the room plummeted, and I could see my breath in the air. She took a step closer, her feet dragging across the floor, her eyes never leaving mine. I tried to speak, to say something, anything, but my voice wouldn't come. All I could do was stare in terror as she moved closer, her face inches from mine. Her lips parted, and in a voice that was barely a whisper, she said, "You have to leave. Before it's too late." And then, just like that, she was gone. I bolted out of bed, my heart racing, drenched in cold sweat. The room was empty, the air still, but the temperature remained freezing. I grabbed my phone and checked the time, 2:15 a.m. My hands were shaking as I packed my things, desperate to get out of that room. Downstairs, the receptionist was still at the front desk. She looked up as I approached, her eyes widening when she saw the panic on my face. "Room 404, I started, my voice trembling. "There's something in there." "A woman." She cut me off with a grave expression. "I was hoping you wouldn't meet her." I stared at her, confused and terrified. "What do you mean?"
She sighed, glancing nervously around the empty lobby. 5 years ago, a woman died in that room. She was a guest, traveling alone. There was an accident in the bathroom. She slipped and hit her head, but she's never left. My stomach dropped. She only appears to certain people. The receptionist continued in a whisper. People like you, who are alone and staying in the room for more than 3 nights. The last time someone saw her, well, they didn't stay long after that. I didn't need to be told twice. I checked out of the hotel right then and there, not caring about the hour or the inconvenience. I took the first taxi I could find and left, not looking back at the hotel. Even now, weeks later, I can't forget the look in her eyes or the warning she gave me. You have to leave before it's too late. I've never gone back to Bangkok since.